Welcome to the Vegas Insider channel here on YouTube as we take a look at SEC best bets coming up this Saturday, the first Saturday in November, so it's crunch time. Kevin Rogers with you alongside Brian Edwards. And Brian, let's break down three of the top matchups in the SEC coming up on Saturday. And let's begin in College Station. It's Texas A&M and Auburn, and a big showdown there between the Aggies and the Tigers.
Yeah, Auburn is – I'm playing with fire here. Auburn is 4-0 straight up, 3-0-1 against the spread at Kyle Field in College Station since A&M joined the SEC in 2012. And A&M's had a ton of success at Jordan-Hare. But I just – A&M has had 2 weeks to prepare. They're just in great form, 3 in a row, both straight up and against the spread. They beat Alabama. And then they go to Missouri, avoid the letdown spot, up 35-14, like mid-third, and coast from there and cover easily. And and then just took care of South Carolina with the quickness early and often. And now they've had 2 weeks to heal up. And Auburn is coming off a string of they had an off week before Ole Miss, but I can't turn down A&M, man. They're playing so good. I made them 7. What are we looking at now? 4.5. If it's 4.5, maybe by that hook to 4, I consider 4 a key number like 3, 7, 10, etc.
So, Brian, on Texas A&M coming up Saturday against Auburn. Now let's take a look at our second SEC contest. It's Mississippi State and Arkansas. Both these teams coming in at 5-3. The Bulldogs have won a few in a row. Arkansas, meanwhile, they've lost 3 straight SEC games. They beat Arkansas Pine Bluff their last time out. But Arkansas, after the fast start, Brian, trying to get back on track here. And Mississippi State playing well.
They are, and Mike Leach teams going back to his Washington State days, last 31 games as a road underdog, 21-10 against the spread. He is 4-2 in such spots at Mississippi State, including an outright win in College Station earlier this year. They were favored at Vandy, won in blowout fashion, and then there was that Memphis game that had the awful erroneous officiating mistake, like multiple officiating or 3 mistakes on that punt return. There was the fact that he was down or the ball was downed. There was the fact that there were 2 guys on the field wearing the same number, and there was the fact that Memphis players were coming off the sideline onto the field. So there were 3 mistakes that all got ignored by replay. Or else they probably win that game at Memphis. Will Rogers has a 19-7 TDI-INT ratio, but if we want to Butch Jones that stat a little bit and say against teams not named Alabama, he's got a 19-4 TDI-INT ratio, and he did get his shoulder injured early in that Bama game, so that probably played a part in his poor performance. I think it's a toss-up game, kind of like I thought Michigan and Sparty was toss-up last week, so I gladly took Sparty catching more than a field goal, and so I'll do the same with Hail State. Plus, I saw it was 5 at most books, but I saw that FanDuel and DraftKings were at 5.5 this morning.
All right, so Brian, on Mississippi State against Arkansas coming up on Saturday. And for the final game, we'll look at Alabama and LSU. They played a lot of meaningful games over the years, but it feels like the last 2 seasons it's been Alabama as a heavy favorite with the way LSU has kind of gone downward. But the Crimson Tide taking on the Tigers. And, Brian, you're going to ride that Alabama first half train again?
I am. They're off not covering one against Tennessee, which is very rare. LSU is just destroyed by injuries right now. Their entire starting secondary is going to be out. Orgeron canceled practice one day last week. They didn't have enough bodies. They're missing like half their starters on the team. It's ridiculous how many guys are out. And even if they weren't out, I'd probably be on it anyway. Alabama had to be pleased with the number 2 ranking, but they know if they lose again, they're in deep trouble. So no reason to not be laser focused. This team has not clinched anything. and I think they'll come out and blitz LSU. Not talking about literal blitz from defensive standpoint, just blitz them early and often with touchdowns and minus 17 Bama in the first half.
All right, so to recap Brian's picks for this Saturday in the SEC, Brian taking Texas A&M at home against Auburn. Also, he's going to back Mississippi State on the road against Arkansas and take Alabama in the first half against LSU on Saturday. Brian, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, K-Raj.
All right, there is Brian Edwards. And before we get out of here, I want to tell you about DraftKings. And coming up this weekend, it is the Sportsbook National Championship. And it's going to be held in Weehawken, New Jersey, right outside of New York City at the Endview Hotel. It's a $1 million top prize. The tournament begins this Friday, November 5th, and it will end Sunday, November 7th. And $1 million up for grabs. You can bet on 3 different sports, NBA, NFL, and college football. The winner of the tournament will be given a free ticket to the Championship Series Tournament of Champions event in January for an opportunity to compete for bigger money and be crowned as the GOAT. It's a $10,000 buy-in for the tournament. And again, $1 million up for grabs. It is the DraftKings Sportsbook National Championship. I am Kevin Rogers. My thanks to Brian Edwards for joining us here on our SEC Best Bets. We'll talk to you again next week. And as always, best of luck with your bets.